What's up, Taiwan? How's it going? I'm Ethan Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's exports, which are a central driver of the country's economic growth, grew at the slowest pace for more than 2 years in August and well below many economists' forecasts. Exports grew just 2% in August compared to the same period last year, and exports to China, Taiwan's largest trading partner, fell 9.9% on the same period last year as COVID-0 lockdowns and heat wave-induced power outages continue to bite. The slower Taiwanese export statistics come as high global inflation continues to depress demand. To find out more about Taiwan's slowing export growth, our reporter James Chater spoke to Nick Morrow, lead analyst for global trade at the Economist Intelligence Unit in Hong Kong.
This set of export statistics was well below most forecasts. What international factors have driven that slower growth in Taiwanese exports?
The pandemic-related highs that we saw last year. But the economic outlook is really complicated this year. It's not just the war in Ukraine, it's not just higher global inflation, but it's also, I think, more directly tied to Taiwan, what's happening in China. The zero COVID lockdowns, the power shortages that we saw in Western China in August, all of these things are having consequences for normal factory operations, and that's weighing on demand for Taiwanese inputs. Given the very close linkages between the Chinese and the Taiwanese economy, what happens in China has a very natural effect on what happens in Taiwan. We saw that over the second quarter. It's likely going to happen over the third quarter as well. And so the outlook looks relatively uncertain, particularly when we benchmark against Taiwan's experience in 2020, 2021.
On a broader level, how concerned should Taiwan be about these drearier export statistics, given how much Taiwanese growth has depended on exports since the pandemic began?
Well, I think actually you raise a really good point in the sense that, Taiwanese economic performance over the last couple of years has been relatively unbalanced. Exports have done well, investment tied to exports has done well, but private spending has really struggled. And that's been despite a number of government stimulus programs and other measures aimed at reviving household expenditure. What we're really concerned about is that these headwinds are going to persist as export growth slows. And this is something that's going to be very difficult for the Taiwanese government to try and rectify. It goes into things like income growth and wage growth. We just saw news that the Taiwanese government has raised minimum wage, but we've also seen news that Taiwanese private industry is resisting even more aggressive wage hikes over their own economic anxieties. And so when we think about the story for 2023, this picture of softer economic growth, softer trade growth, the story really has to be around whether Taiwan can revive its household spending components, and the outlook there is still very, very uncertain.
And given that uncertain outlook that you just mentioned, do you think Taiwanese growth is too closely pegged to the fortunes of the chip sector alone?
Right. Well, I think, tied to that story of Taiwan being just disproportionately reliant on trade flows, those trade flows are also disproportionately reliant on what's happening in the chip sector. I think the long-term challenge for Taiwan is going to be how can Taiwan diversify its industrial structure away from just these cutting-edge chips. And this is something that the Taiwanese government has been trying to do for quite some time. But I think the verdict is still out in terms of how competitive they're going to be, particularly when benchmarked against not just China, but also other markets in the region, say in ASEAN or Northeast Asia.
Taiwan's state-owned power company Taipower is building 2 substations in downtown Taipei that it hopes will resolve electricity supply bottlenecks. As Louis Watt reports, a series of power outages has raised concerns about the stability of the national grid.
The deepest point is 55 meters underground, and it's about 5 meters across. It's taken Taiwan's state-owned energy company 10 years to build this tunnel, linking up 2 Taipei districts with underground power lines. Taipower says it was as difficult as building the Taipei metro.
是我们要告诉台北市民说，前盾的工作最难的我们已经做，我们希望能够在最短的时间内提供东区门户充足的供电。
Taipower says once finished, the Da'an substation will provide a stable power supply for 4 districts in eastern Taipei. It's the only ultra-high voltage substation in the capital's downtown area, and is expected to become operational in 2025. Taipower wants to build another one, Songhu, in the city's northeastern Nehu district, but those plans have been on hold for 20 years because of opposition from locals who say they don't want a substation in their backyard.
那送物变电站目前正在审查程序当中， 就是之前有稍微停滞的审查，现在已经都开始在进行。我们要告诉社会大众说，我们未来我们的变电站长得就像现在这样子的样子，它在监测上面，各位关心的电磁波问题不会比背景值高。
Concerns have been mounting about the stability of Taiwan's electricity grid. In early March, more than 5 million households lost power. Taipower blames the blackout on human error and equipment issues. Energy companies are also under pressure due to a global rise in energy prices. They're also swallowing big losses by keeping consumer prices low to help limit the impact of inflation. In June, the government raised electricity prices by 8% on average. Industry was hardest hit. Households were spared. But that could change this month. Prices are up for review once again. Any increase will put the issue of Taiwan's power supply back in the spotlight. James Rayner and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Epidemic Response Task Force expects to see a fresh surge in COVID-19 cases after the Mid-Autumn Festival long weekend, which starts on Friday.
20几号的时候，预计会到达高峰，在3万到6万之间。
The country recorded 35,000 new infections on Thursday, and that's a dip from Wednesday's 41,000, which was the highest number in over 2 months. The wave of new infections is being driven by the BA.5 subvariant. With the traditional Mid-Autumn Festival almost here, a very special rabbit has appeared at the train station in Yilan on Taiwan's eastern coast. The massive inflatable rabbit outside the city's Dongshan station is hugging a moon. It is a reference to the tale of the Jade Rabbit, a classic Mid-Autumn Festival folk story. People young and old have been visiting the rabbit to get a picture ahead of the festival, which will take place on Saturday. A Taiwanese film from the 1990s is in the spotlight at the 79th Venice Film Festival. Edward Young's A Confusion made it into the lineup for the Venice Classic, a section that presents restored versions of classic films. Yu Jinhuang has more details.
A Confusion, as its name suggests, presents a society in turmoil. As a culture dominated by tradition is challenged by modernization. The satirical comedy, first screened in 1994, centered on a globalizing Taipei. It's among the 18 films selected for the Venice Classics at this year's Venice Film Festival. Digital restoration technicians put in months of effort to bring the movie back to life.
有很多小蓝点点在修复比较干净的时候会非常的明显，所以我们其实有做轻度的降噪跟把那个蓝点用逐格手动去清除。
Restoring the movie took more than patience. It also required some luck. A second copy of the original film kept by the movie's sound engineer saved a few parts that were severely damaged.
像上面有覆盖严重的水痕，因为有找到那个另外一个版本，就是它是画质接近原底片，然后可以取代掉。
The high-energy plot that depicts a slice of urban residents' love lives won the hearts of juries when the film was first released in 1994. It entered the Cannes Film Festival and got a dozen nominations at Taiwan's own Golden Horse Awards. But audiences at the time didn't appreciate the film. With the film back in the spotlight thanks to its inclusion at Venice, Taiwan is planning to screen it domestically again. The audience's reaction this time around will show if society has caught up with the director's vision, which movie critics had said was too ahead of its time. Asnaya Zhou and Yu Jinhuang for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today we leave you with images of a national art exhibition in North Korea. And the event is to mark the 75th anniversary of the founding of Pyongyang University of Fine Arts. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care and see you next time.